Good afternoon, I'm Evan Clem and these are your 3:30 sporting headlines. Manchester United are exploring ways to terminate the contract of Cristiano Ronaldo. The club announced earlier today that they would be taking action against the Portuguese striker following his explosive interview with Piers Morgan. Ronaldo, who openly criticised the United management and ownership, has said that he is unsure on his future with the club and has his mind focused on the upcoming World Cup. Four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel will retire after this weekend's season finale in Abu Dhabi. After announcing the news via social media in July, the German hasn't said what his future holds, but hasn't ruled out coming back at some point. After 15 years in the sport, Vettel will look to cap off a decorated career with one last impressive performance. Owen Farrell is set to make his 100th appearance for England when they take on New Zealand at Twickenham on Saturday evening. The fly half will become just the 8th player to reach the milestone behind the likes of Ben Youngs and Jason Leonard. England will be hoping to replicate the winning performance they delivered against the All Blacks at the Rugby World Cup in 2019. Now for some local sporting news. The Eastleigh over-65s walking football team has retained their National Cup after defeating Stamford in the final. After qualifying through the group stages, they would win both the semi-finals and the final on penalties. Goalkeeper David Davies was the hero of the tournament, making 3 penalty saves in 2 games to help Eastleigh lift the trophy. Staying in Eastleigh, their women's rugby club played their first game in 20 years after the club was reformed in the summer. Most of the players have never played rugby before, and the training last week was their first time together as a group. The side played the well-established Southampton women's team and were handily defeated 65-0. Eastleigh travel to Newbury this Sunday, looking to get more experience for their young side. Onto a more niche sport now. Thai kickboxing is one of the more brutal forms of martial arts. And with that in mind, we decided to send our reporter Adam Tilner to give us a flavour of the sport.
Fists, elbows, knees and shins. That's Muay Thai. At Southampton's Exile Gym, the so-called Art of 8 Limbs has long tradition. Experienced coach Gareth Blair has been dedicated to the martial art for over 20 years.
My name's Gareth Blair. We've been here for 7 or 8 years now, but beforehand the Thai boxing club has been around for 23 years. We had a few other places dotted around Southampton over time, so it was primarily Thai boxing for the longest time. And then we kind of developed into an MMA team as well, which we still have now. So yeah, we've got a bit of both, to be fair. Me and Dean and Dan, Dan over there taking that class here about 23, 24 years, the 3 of us. My sessions, each teacher's got a different one. I'll push them cardio-wise more than anything else, because it's all very well learning the moves and everything, but if you're not fit enough to pull it off, it's a bit of a struggle. So I'll kind of push them fitness-wise, and I like to say I'll drip feed them bits, because there's a lot to learn, and an hour and a half isn't long enough to learn it in. They're saying if you haven't got the fitness level to do it, because primarily it's a ring sport, so not everybody will do it, but the guys that do like to fight or do want to fight or do any clubs or anything like that have to have quite an impressive fitness level to do it. So like I say, I tend to push them quite hard physically in the hope that it'll pay off dividends in the end, fingers crossed.
Most of the gym members don't partake in fights, but use it as a great way to keep fit and learn a martial art in turn.
Well, there's quite a few gyms about. Obviously, we prefer it if you come to our gym, but it's just a case of turning up. There's always a guy on the counter. Come and have a chat. If you're interested in it at all, if you go online, just type in Muay Thai, look at some of the stuff that's in there.
But a number of fighters have come through. One of those, a phenomenal Mo Abdurrahman.
Any of you guys to have a look for, there's a guy called Mo Abdurrahman, who was champion for years and years and years. Most of those belts up there and the trophies belong to him. And he was #1 in the country in K1 and Thai boxing for about 6 years at 2 different weight classes. and he fought at this gym, and he was phenomenal. And he's got highlight reels and everything. It's all on YouTube. Look at what he can do. You can learn that here. It's pretty special.
I've been Adam Silner for Solent Sports News.
Thanks for that, Adam. I'm glad I'm sat here in the studio and not with the scary-looking boxers. Dylan Chavas has been following an Indian football team on tour around England in partnership with UK ESG. Dylan, what have you got for us?
Thanks, Evan. I'm joined here by Lakbir Singh, Chief Operating Officer of UK Elite Sports Group, otherwise known as UK ESG. Well, first, Lakbir, I guess, what was the idea behind the tour and sort of how did it come into fruition?
Thank you, Dylan. So the UK Elite Sports Group was formed in late 2019, and it's primarily on the back of me joining Planet Education group of companies. Now, the group of companies is Planet Education, Elite Football and Elite Cricket. So primarily all around sports coaching and specialised kind of football and rugby programmes. My previous background is as the head of operations for the India Business Group, which is a bilateral consultancy business working with the UK and India governments on a number of key areas, advisory services. So when I joined Planet Education, after kind of working on the operations department, the new culture of the company, we very quickly realised that there's a unique opportunity to take our bespoke services overseas into India and other countries to provide that real grassroots development and the talent that we have here within our organisation to share that globally. And India was a focal area because of my previous experience.
Perfect. And how have you found this sort of, it's the inaugural tour between England and India, the exchange. How have you found the tour so far?
Sure. Well, just prior to that, we visited India twice. We did a launch back in the Mayor's Parlour, kind of launching our initiative. We did a pilot really in India. We went and tested our kind of theories and realised that there is a need for kind of knowledge exchange, particularly with a sports and educational focus. So we're very proud and privileged to have our first inaugural maiden tour from India, the Manav Rachana Sports Academy. They're a kind of private entity in the north of India. And they consist of a university, a sports academy, and we're very privileged to have them here. And over the past few days that the young aspiring athletes have been with us, there's lots of learning, not just on their part, but also on our part. The cultural difference, how you eat your dinner, respect. But the main focus has been their training and development from a whole host of different angles. And as you can see in the background, the young athletes are really they've taken to the UK way of learning, respect, discipline for the game, and we're really enjoying the experience.
Yeah, of course. I guess that's the point of exchange, really. It works both ways, and we can learn things from them, and they can learn things from us. I guess that's the whole point. Will you be looking to sort of repeat this in future now?
Yeah.
In any different countries, or just...
Sure. Well, as part of our business plan, India is kind of the main focus, and we currently have other partners and stakeholders in India who are interested in similar tours. But the key really here is the bilateral angle. So it's not just a one-hit, one-wonder where you come over, you do some training and we leave you to that. The idea is to take our experienced coaches back into country, into India, so to work with the coaches and train the trainer, to do some more bespoke training with the students and athletes in country. And we have a number of stakeholders who are now lined up, having seen that we have this tour over, considering on the back of COVID and other areas troubling the world. The fact that these young athletes are here with us training, it means that there's lots more to come.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Lakbir, for joining me here today. It's been a pleasure, and we'll cut back to you in the studio.
Host nation Qatar will kick off the first ever Winter World Cup when they face Ecuador on Sunday afternoon. Senegal's Sadio Mane has been ruled out of the tournament despite being included in the squad, as he has failed to recover from a leg injury in time. FIFA has also confirmed that alcohol will be banned inside stadiums for the World Cup fans just 48 hours before the tournament is set to take place. Now for some news a bit closer to home. I'm joined by our England reporter, James Humphreys. So, James, what are England's chances heading into this World Cup?
Well, the general feeling amongst the England fans at the moment isn't very positive, and I would have to agree. The group is mainly the same at the moment, with the likes of Kane, Maguire, Pickford and Sterling in there. And we've seen in previous tournaments, we made the semi-finals in the 2018 World Cup, and then obviously the final in 2020, and it just depends whether Southgate has something else to get them over the line this time. Group B is also the only group with all 4 teams ranked in the 20, so it's going to prove a really tough test for England. Obviously, Iran up first, you got USA second, and then the big derby with Wales to finish the group. And if we do make it out of the group, it looks like we will either have Denmark or France, so it's going to be a real tough test for Gareth Southgate's men.
So you touched on it there, but how big is the team selection for this tournament?
Well, it's massive. Obviously, the team selection was as expected from Southgate with the injuries we have. However, there was a couple of surprise selections. Maddison, obviously great form for Leicester last season, and he's massively carried that on into this season as well. He's been included despite only having 1 cap for England prior. Tony's missed out as well. He's got 10 goals in 14 games for Brentford this season in excellent form. Has his betting scandal affected the decision from Southgate? He's obviously got 232 betting charges against him at the moment, so who knows if that's affected it. You've also got Tomori at centre-back. We're already quite light at centre-back, so quite a lot of people were surprised that he missed out. He obviously won the league with AC Milan last season and was a big part of their squad. Phillips, he's only played 13 minutes of Premier League football this season and has been injured for the majority of it. Should he have been picked? Will he be match fit? These are all questions that Gareth Southgate has to answer.
Yeah, injuries are obviously a big part of tournament football. Have England got any at the moment heading into the first game?
Well, it looks like Maddison is still struggling with an injury. He sat out of the team group session for the last 2 days after picking up a knee injury against West Ham last weekend. Walker also is set to miss the first game after 6 weeks out of a groin injury. He's just come back from surgery, but he should be fit after that. And of course, you've got the Chelsea fullback duo, Reece James and Ben Chilwell, who are missing with knee and hamstring injuries. Yeah,
so obviously the football is good to talk about, but there's a lot surrounding this tournament to do with controversial things. What do you make of that?
Well, the whole build-up has been controversial the whole way out, from the Qatar even getting the World Cup in the first place. But it looks like, I've heard rumours recently of fans being paid to be out there as appearing as fans just to get the hype up for the tournament a little bit. We've also asked the question whether the stadiums will actually be full. Will people want to travel out there? And obviously we found out today that alcohol is now being banned in the stadiums for the fans. So yeah, it just seems like the whole thing's been poorly organised from the start.
Thanks, James, for the great insight there. Hopefully in a month's time we will be singing It's Coming Home. That's all from us here today at Solent Sports News. Remember to follow all of today's news stories at www.solentjournalism.co.uk and on our social media pages. Thanks for joining us and have a good weekend.